What's that? Yeah, I can see. Thank you very much. All right. Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, J.K. Rowling, former President Donald Trump, and the baby. All leaders in their own career fields, all with powerful voices of influence, all of which were silenced voices. Voices that were shouted over by the voices who think that their voices are more important. Lucky for them, these leaders were already widely successful in their career fields, and they had established their identity, they became successful and wealthy. However, that leaves a question for us today. How can we make sure that our voices get heard by millions to achieve our goals, despite facing a new and common enemy, armed with a weapon of mass destruction? Cancel culture and the internet. Today I will be discussing what cancel culture is and how exactly we can combat the effects it has on our right to speak. Shockingly enough, the internet has become one of the largest obstacles in making our voices heard. And specifically, I mean social media. According to the Pew Research Center, the majority of Americans say social media negatively affects the way our country is going. And as you can see, there is a political stance on it as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And roughly 30% of whom cite misinformation as the reason why it has a negative effect. And there are some other reasons as well, such as hate and harassment, but misinformation and fake news makes up the majority of the reason. So this leads us to wonder, why is social media so negative? And why is there so much misinformation? Well, before the internet, there were very few publishers. In order to publish something, you had to do proper research, and once you published it, the public was left with your available facts that you provided them to make the decision of whether somebody is guilty or offensive or shouldn't have a platform. Well, now everybody is a publisher. Everybody is able to post their opinions on the internet. And the most damning effect of this is it's not the available facts that make the decision for the public, it's whoever makes the most noise on the internet wins the argument. And so with so much misinformation, how can we cancel anybody? How can we be so sure? I'd like to cancel Joaquin at the moment. Next, we must discuss what is cancel culture. According to Lisa Nakamura, a professor at the University of Michigan in US culture, Cancel culture is the withdrawal of support or admiration from a public figure who has said or done something deemed to be offensive. And it's important to note that this is widespread thanks to internet and social media. And this is a growing issue. Young adults have heard the most about it. However, 44% of Americans in total have heard about the term cancel culture. I also think it's interesting that there is quite a lot of older, I guess you could say boomers, who have heard cancel culture. And to talk about the political stances a little bit more, left-leaning people feel that cancel culture is more of an action taken to hold others accountable, while right-wing feel that it's more of an attempt at censorship. However, I don't think this is a political issue at all. Together, cancel culture and misinformation can be disastrous for everyone involved. Here I have a short clip of Dave Chappelle speaking about how a time he was mistakenly canceled due to some misinformation.
It's on.
Is it what?
Didn't click on.
Really? Okay, never mind.
Oh, go back. You can click it on the computer over here.
That works.
That's right there.
You have to exit and open the.
It's not going to work.
Okay, never mind. But at the end of it, a fan of Dave Chappelle's attempts to email his performing overhead and complains about a joke about Asian people and that he disrespected his biracial relationship in the audience. And what Dave Chappelle's point is, if that person had done any research at all, they would know that Dave Chappelle actually has a wife of Asian heritage himself. And according to Amanda Morcott from Salon.com, an editorial piece, she states, ultimately, that's what all this right-wing moaning and groaning is really about. Fury that progressives can use their free speech to criticize them. Yeah, I had another clip, but unfortunately we're running into technical difficulties. So what can we do about cancel culture and the terrible approach that people are taking? Because the point is not that they're wrong for being offended. The point is that they should not try to silence other people's voices for being offended. And my solution is to join my open forum where we will be discussing anything and everything. And you will be able to respond as well. And I figure there's no place better to start than here at Pepperdine. We will get to speak our minds to an audience and ultimately strengthen our community. It will be a private venue with no recordings, and that means no social media. If you guys are interested in joining my forum, I will be in the back of class after this speech collecting signatures to present to the office, because I'm sure we're going to need some backing behind this one. And with that, I'll leave you with this. A quote from Voltaire, a French comedian from the 18th century. I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.